we're live to review. I don't know if you want to say it, Jeff.
Games.
That's it. I thought you'd say it in a way, in a certain way, a dramatic way, maybe.
Well, I spent the first 5 seconds after you said that trying to think of what the title was.
Sorry. All right, here we go. Avon, together with a corrupt academician named Geren, plots to acquire a cache of Felden crystals, gems that concentrate energy and are thus a source of unlimited power from the Federation. These have been stolen by Belkov, the man running a Felden mining operation on the planet Mecron II, and apparently hidden on a ship, the Orbiter, stationed above the planet. Belkov is obsessed with games and has modified his computer Gambit into a powerful game-playing device. The Orbiter is defended with booby traps and games controlled by Gambit. Servland, meanwhile, suspects Belkov of stealing the crystals and arrives on Mecron II to investigate. Belkov contacts Scorpio and offers to make a deal with the crew in exchange for his escape.
Are you having problems getting through the description, Ben?
I
mean, it's not even one of the more ridiculous episodes.
No. Tarrant, Villa, and Dana teleport down with Geren, but Belkov plays them and Servland off against each other while organising his own escape, trapping Tarrant, Dana, and Geren below the launch bay. Villa rescues them and, under orders from Avon, retrieves a circuit from Gambit, which appears to be upset that Belkov has ordered it to self-destruct. The crew escape, but Geren is captured. Servland extracts the apparent location of the crystals from him. Avon, Sulin, Tarrant, and Aurak go to the Orbiter, and with Gambit's help, overcome a series of trials. The final game, however, is really a trap, as its completion will focus the Orbiter's Felden panels onto a black hole. Gambit refuses to allow Belkov automatic control of his ship, self-destructing instead, and Belkov is killed. What I've noted here is Belkov's death not shown on TV. Avon counters the effect, so it's assumed. Avon counters the effect of the black hole on the Felden panels through a burst of power at short range from Scorpio's weapons. The crew then reflect that their trouble has been for nothing. Even a necklace of Felden crystals that Villa stole from Belkov's quarters proves to be a fake. Right. There you go. So what did you think, Jeff?
Well, that summary made it seem like not much happened, but just through the whole thing. So I think it was the best episode in a while. I mean, I have to deduct a point for Servalan, of course, but
yeah.
You know, I liked Gambit, dude, whatever his name was, Oxcart or whatever, some Russian name or something.
Belkov, this guy. So
yeah.
So the performance of this actor.
He had the best laugh.
Yes.
Like I've heard in a while. Felden crystal, like all I could think of was Don Felder from the Eagles. Like, you know, I'm like, that doesn't sound like a very valuable substance. Felden. It just, you know, it sounds like a guitarist.
Little snigger he did was fantastic.
What?
That little snigger he did was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this episode is that even though Servalan was in it, like, most of the time, like, she was getting screwed with. So the only part where she really had the upper hand was when she had a gun to the bearded guy and didn't really care what happened to him anyway. So that, you know, if he suddenly kicked her in the face. But, you know, that would have made him better, would have made him a useful character. But, you know, I didn't expect that to happen or anything. That would have, like, raised the episode maybe 2 points if that had happened. You know.
I thought it would have been amusing if Avon with his always smug knowing things somehow for no reason when he would like immediately looked at the thing, was like, "Oh, sorry, Villa," and then he broke it. If he had just like stopped, like, "Oh, they're real. Oh, whoops."
Or he just let Villa think they were real, you know.
No, that's lame. There's no reason for him to know they were fake just by having them. He just looked at him and was like, "My all-knowing Avon sense."
No, he probably had Aurak like scan for it already. That's how he knew there weren't any crystals, because he asked him were there any, and he did some kind of thing and found that it wasn't any. They just didn't have that on screen.
They didn't happen.
There's lots of stuff that happens that they don't show on screen.
Yeah, okay, Serverland.
You have to assume that those
guy shot her 3 times in the face. It just wasn't shown on screen.
No, you're committing a fallacy there, and saying that every things happen off screen, that anything you want to happen happens off screen. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying that that's what you're doing. You're just making
No.
something up.
Follows the pattern of the story.
You're making
That
sense out of
he's
something that
okay.
was never made
Avon does sometimes make assumptions, but most of the time, well, yeah, he makes assumptions, but they're usually based on something. For him to emphatically state there were no crystals means he had a pretty good idea that that was the case.
No, he just made that up.
All right, if you want to believe that.
That's another one of those things where Avon just randomly knows something.
I choose to believe that.
He's the smart
Well,
guy.
see, that's the thing is
why
you
they make him
can,
know stuff.
you can, when you have a plot device.
Just figuring something out. They say basically like, oh, he's so smart, he figures this out, but he just exclaims things out of nowhere.
When you have a plot device like Aurak, which I correctly predicted when it was first introduced, would be used to basically solve any kind of plot thing they needed it to, you can logically say that he at some point asked Aurak to see if there were any of those crystals, and he was able to do so by scanning the computer. It's not making up. It follows what everything else that happened. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not making it up, though. It's just stating something that's likely was supposed to be background. Right. Or supposed to be insinuated. I don't know why that's important to you to use those words.
It's the key difference between something that happened and something that was made up.
No, because as I already said, things have to happen off screen for the story to make sense. The time is represented in the episode. The story doesn't take place in 45 minutes, for one thing.
I don't understand why, piecing the story, why you're helping defending the story by inputting things that happened that didn't happen.
I'm not really defending the story. I'm just arguing with it.
Well, yeah, I noticed that. You just randomly arguing with me when I say minor things about.
No, you were the one that made it into an argument. I just stated a fact.
No, you didn't. You made something up.
No. I stated that it made sense for that to have occurred. Green.
In other words, it's not a plot hole that Avon.
Right. Yeah, it's not, because if it's something where it's not some contrived thing where I had to come up with some weird explanation for how he knew the information. Have a plot device like Aurak. Yeah, you can just say that he asked him.
Okay, you could just say that this is all just a simulation because
the
magic computers.
But there's no particular reason why that.
Reason why you should make up defense for why he would. Thing that there's really no reason for him to know.
I don't know why.
They didn't show him.
It's important to you just to go through this make-up defense thing, which I'm not doing. I'm just stating one thing.
It's not important. I was just pointing out the fact that they have a of Avon just exclaiming things that happen to be the truth somehow.
That's
when
true.
They don't explain why.
I think you're both right.
Yeah, there are some times where he states things where it's kind of like, oh, how do you know? But even really, as much as flaws as I can find in some of these episodes, not a whole lot compared to some other. When I think about Doctor Who, we were talking earlier, it was in the commentary video, but anyway, before we start doing this, about the Fifth Doctor era of Doctor Who, and there was way too much Nyssa, for instance, who, I think is attractive. I liked her as a character, But the thing is they had her like randomly know things that there's no way that this random girl from this other planet would know about like the TARDIS computer and things like that. She would just like state these things where it's like, how do you know that? and there's not really as much of that in this show. I mean, there is occasionally, but it's not like every.
And,
generally when somebody states something, there's a reason why they would know that.
Plus,
a lot of times it's from their own experience.
Plus, Avon's an older computer expert, and you can assume that he's talking to Oracle a lot off screen. That's his main thing. It's an INTJ. Computers.
It's weird to me.
Why we want to what so much?
It's like it's a show because it shows you things. Why would you want to just like assume the plot? Then you might as well just like sit staring at a wall and assume the entire plot.
Are you saying that like every television show, like that the story should only be what is shown on screen and nothing else happens ever?
No, but I don't go around making up plot scenes like, oh, this happened, must have, otherwise this plot doesn't make sense.
Homicide, for instance. And like, there's a scene where they walk up and there's a dead body. It's logical to assume somebody killed the person. That's why they're there. They're at a homicide scene. You don't have to show it every episode for that to take place. It's a logical progression of, oh, dead body, somebody murdered this person, and that's why the detectives are here to solve the crime. So it's like, it's not any more of a stretch to say this person knew something didn't exist because they used the tool they had to find that out. It's the same exact thing. It's not making anything up. It's just a logical reason for something.
But you still made it up.
No, I didn't. Are you using the words made up to mean like anything that your brain is able to deduce from the information given to you?
You made it up.
All right, whatever. Anyway.
For some reason, you have a bigger deal about me saying you made it up than even I do. I don't.
No, I don't. I've been ready to move on for a while.
Then
some reason you
stop talking, but you just like
I can hand this to you. You can just do the rest yourself. Then, if you want to just interrupt everything and just constantly talk, then go ahead.
It's your show. I'm the one doing this.
Yeah.
You're the one doing it.
No, you are.
You obviously have some. You want me to just end this? You want me to just?
No, I don't.
Just
that would
end
be rude.
it. Is that what you need here?
No.
Because evidently you have a problem with me existing.
No, I never
and
said
talking
that.
on this review that I've been consistently invited.
If you're going to talk, though, we can like take turns and stuff rather than every time I start to talk, you interrupt me.
You just so you just like.
It's like you start shouting over me every time I talk. No, I'm not attacking you in the slightest.
You're just trying to
Now you're the one who's making stuff up.
You're both right. So, Jeff, how good do you think this episode was, and how much of that was this actor making it good?
Well, I mean, I would say good in the sense that, it was overall solid, entertaining thing. Like, I mean, I can think of plenty of stuff that is more entertaining.
Yeah.
In the context of this show, it was one of their better ones because there's a lot of really bad ones, and this wasn't it. Even though, like, on paper, the story doesn't sound like much happened, they were able to maintain, the interesting aspects of it anyway, by having characters that, made it interesting, like this guy, and the dialogue and the stuff, the exchanges, between like Avon and then I guess Sulin really didn't have much to do other than that one part where she shot the gun thing. But I did like that. I liked, how they sort of set it up where each one of them has a purpose for doing one of the game things. That's kind of simplistic. It's still good. Like, it fits everything.
It's like hardly put in there though.
And so
there's just like a little scene of him going on a stick. Oh wow, such skill. No one else could have done that.
Well, right. He never said he was some expert pilot. In fact, when he was asked whether he could do it, he didn't even answer. He just said, it's what I was trained to do. So, answer the question.
That's what I was trained to do. I mean,
I was trained to do.
In every class.
Yeah.
Hey.
I was trained. I suck, but I was trained. Yeah, and Villa's fingerprint thing probably shouldn't have worked and stuff like that. But but it doesn't really matter. I mean, the whole show, you have to have some suspension of disbelief But to me, whether it's entertaining or not is the question, and it was for a lot of it. So it loses points for Servalan existing. Terrence is mostly kind of lousy. Dana actually was kind of a little bit more useful in this episode, which is why part of the reason it was better is that she didn't come off as just kind of whiny, useless chick. She actually did some stuff that was helpful. And people on fire, and it was paced well. Things kept going. There wasn't a time where I was sitting here like thinking, oh, this, which is a good sign, because there have been several Blake 7 episodes where I was like checking how much time is left in it because I wasn't sure I was going to make it, not blow my head off. And this was not one of those episodes. It ended like, at a good time. So yeah.
What we could talk a little bit about is this actor, and because the audience weren't there when we talked about him being in, and we can see if he's been in more than one Doctor Who. This guy, Stratford John's performance, because pretty much made the show. I mean, this part.
Yeah, it was a lot of it. I think it was a little bit ambiguous at the end, like you said, because they don't show him die on screen, so they don't really. But maybe that's intentional. I don't know. Maybe at the time they might have wanted to do something with him in the future or something. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, yeah. I mean, he did a good job. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Right.
So good.
Yep.
I thought his friendship. I thought his friendship with the computer was quite good. The way he played it, and
yeah, obviously I've seen a lot of things because I've seen sci-fi stuff before. That there's a lot that sort of have that same angle of the that has sort of
I thought
the.
that was actually pretty decently done.
Yeah.
It wasn't unrealistic.
Right.
It wasn't stupidly dramatic either.
Right.
He just kind of did. They just had the characters be those kinds of characters. And I like those characters better than the crew, so they should just replace the crew.
Yeah, that's probably the most obvious weakness of Blake 7 is that when they either have uninteresting guest characters or they have interesting guest characters that are more interesting than the main characters, and so you want to just follow what happens to them next instead of the main character.
yeah, and I think you see the quality of Glynis Barber as well as Sulin, where her quality comes through.
She doesn't get much to do, but she's nice to look at.
Yeah, but also when she delivers her lines, you can see, wow, this is going to go. She's going to go on to become a successful actress.
Well, I don't think that, but I obviously you have the benefit of hindsight and knowing that she is a successful actress apparently, but watching her in this, I get like that, she was brought on as eye candy and they didn't really write much for her to do. It's kind of my impression for so far. To do, but not very much. Even the one you said was like going to feature her or whatever really didn't that much. So there was an episode where he said it was that's something.
Yeah, the assassin one.
A lot of
where she worked it out.
It really didn't.
She had a little bit more to do in that one than she had in the previous ones.
She just had like she's actually part of the crew. She actually does that instead of just stands there.
But at least in this one, I said while I was watching it, why would he, like, on a mission where you needed to have somebody good at shooting people, leave behind the only person that's really good at shooting people? But then that was answered, when Morgan said, well, he might need to escape, and then he wanted to have her with him. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Wonderful.
So have you got the...
Got the book. I just want to quickly have a look at see what Stratford Johns did in Doctor Who, because we know he was in Fort of Doomsday as the Frog King thing, and I think he said that you like that character.
Yeah, that was fun. I thought he did a good job. And in fact, he didn't. I almost think he did a little better in this than he did in that, and because he was sort of more the focus of the story in this one.
Yeah.
Doomsday, I mean, he was in this, but there was a lot of other stuff going on, so he wasn't sort of the focus of the story as much.
Right. What I'm doing is I'm just going to give an idea of giving people an idea of the things he did. Right. What have we got here? Right, he was a lot of stuff. He was actually born in South Africa. Died in 2002 at the age of 76. All right, let's see what.
What coincidence! I was born in '76 at the age of 2002.
All right then. Man, so he did loads of stuff. Now we'll, and I don't know if he was in more than one Doctor Who, but people will have to find out for themselves. Right, so we will now go over to the maximum power guide entry, which, right, oh, I'm being dippy. There we go. It's in there. It's in this folder all along. Here it is. And now I better share the screen.
Bit nippy? Or did you say dippy?
Dippy.
Yes, sounds right the first time.
Dippy, yeah. Right, I don't know how well you can see this.
Reasonably okay. Opening shot, explosions, lots of explosions. Yeah, that's what I said at the time. I'm like, it's a good sign when you start with explosions. The episodes that have started with that have usually been better. So was that really Barry Corbin, or did they make that up for the book?
I think so. I don't think there's a General Berenger in the story.
Because I didn't remember seeing Barry Corbin. I thought I would have recognized him if I'd seen him. But Barry Corbin, of course, some people may know from Northern Exposure because he had a role on that as Maurice, and he also had a role on One Tree Hill as the good actor. You may have seen him as that, as the one good actor in the kind. Actually, the thing about that show was actually most of them were not bad actors, it was just really horrible writing. And I actually felt sorry for the actors, especially Barry Corbin. He was the best actor and had terrible dialogue handed to him that he didn't deserve.
Apparently, Ellen Farmer is a fake one as well.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure who she is. But...
Yeah. Well, I ain't got a clue either. Not in the program anyway.
Yeah, that's not a good. You just described the story either.
Yeah.
But they put the random insult as points scored acceptable.
Yeah, I don't think they like this episode.
Well, I understand why they say they're sick of the series now, but this was actually one of the bright spots, and compared to some other ones in recent, and it actually had some fun to it. So, one of the characters in this episode is named after the Blake 7 episode Gambit. Or Gambit, in case you were wondering.
I just laughed at Avon is the second hardest substance in the universe.
Yeah. Nice to see the sea turn up again in the series following its earlier appearance in Aftermath. Okay. Everyone smiles more than usual. Ben pointed something out about Avon smiling more.
Yeah.
The crew were briefly captured by a Federation officer whose voice is completely wrong for his haircut. I'm not really sure how they come to that conclusion, but... I don't know who Zeklut is.
Oh, well, that's that little fella who's like, what's he called? The small Indian guy that was in Gambit.
The one that played
Deep Roy.
chess.
Yeah, Deep
Okay,
Roy.
yeah.
Zeklut.
Yeah, I've forgotten that character's name. I agree with him about the flight simulator. That did look pretty cool.
It just looks like someone took footage from an actual flight simulator and just...
Well, yeah, but when you think about like other effects on the show, like spiffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it did.
Well, we established here.
True, but irrelevant. Yeah, that was kind of a sitcom line where Dana was like, "Tell him you've already given." Like, what? She said it like it was some serious response, and like kind of like,
Yeah.
That was unnecessary. David Neal, is that the guy the Garen dude?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, his beard
name
did
is
look a little bit fake. Yeah.
fine to me.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he got shot in the left shoulder, and then he was holding a different one later on.
Yeah, what they say about Stratford John's, like, the thing is, the way that character was, is, you know, he could kind of blumber over things, you know, and it wouldn't really matter because that was sort of the way the character was. So.
Yeah. I think he was the kind of actor. I think he was a little bit like Patrick Chan in that he wouldn't say exactly what was in the script because he would be so much in the moments. I'll just check that out.
You should say that because I was thinking of another Doctor Who actor, William Hartnell, because a lot of people said, you know, he was fluffing his lines all the time, intentional, because he sort of played the Doctor as being more like the absent-minded professor guy. So sometimes he would kind of stumble over things as part of an acting choice, as opposed to he actually couldn't remember his line. There were times that he didn't remember his lines, but that wasn't all the time. The difference, to me, the ultimate proof of this, if you needed it, was in the Doctor Who story called The Massacre, where he gets a chance to play a different character, where he plays the Abbot of Amboise as well as the Doctor.
Mm.
And every line he delivers as the Abbot is delivered perfectly. So, you know, either you believe that somehow he was just really on that day, or it's because he chose to have the Doctor be kind of absent-minded in his delivery.
What it says here in this book called Liberation. Secondly, Stratford John's tendency to ad-lib some of his lines means that the phrase "lock the orbiter panels into Cygnus XL" is rendered as "lock my controls into Cygnus XL and the orbiter," which turns the scene into nonsense. So yeah, he looks like he's one of those actors like Patrick Troughton, where he would say, you know what I mean? He would put things in his own way to get a more in the moment performance. So Star Trek would have hated him because they had to be line by line on Star Trek.
And it's not nonsense because, as they established, he programmed the computer to understand his personality. So the way he puts things, the computer likely understands.
Yep.
He could have said, "Lock my DJ3 to the Mickey" or something, and the computer would have, you know. But instead, he's close to what the actual thing was, and that's good enough.
Yeah, a little bit like Flustered and Flanace. We won't go into that.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
Those are more.
I like the enjoyably fruity. Yes, there's not much more. Only a little bit more. There we go.
Additional scraps of knowledge, yeah. Space games, maybe. Yeah, Yeah, so although I might agree with their overall assessment of when they say sick of the series, this episode would not be one that drove me to thinking that, because taken by itself, as opposed to as part of a larger series, it's a decently enjoyable piece of television. So
Well, thank heavens this one is before the next one, because the next one might get a negative.
I'm already looking forward to, just based on the thumbnail that I saw and the title of Sand, which just really, because it reminds me of Dune, who
I love Dune.
which NTs love Dune, no one else does.
What about NFs? Amber likes it.
It's a really long shot of sand. That's what it is. It's a bunch of sand for hours and hours.
It's wonderful.
But it's appropriately named because it's named Dune. The only way it could be even more boring is if it was named Sand, which this next episode of Blake 7 is.
There's a guest actor you'll recognise in the next episode.
Wow.
But
again, BBC sure did like to recycle people, didn't they?
well, there's not that many good ones. And
yeah, as you pointed out, there was only like 3 channels, so
yeah.
Chances are you were going to end up on one of them.
Mind you, the United States didn't have that many at the time. By comparison, maybe about
we did.
About 4, mate, 4 or 5, maybe.
Well, I guess it depends on whether you count PBS or not. I guess if you count PBS, then we would have had 4 broadcast channels.
Yeah.
Besides independent stations, there were national networks. You had ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS. Independent stations, and the so-called super stations existed already, like WGN in Chicago, which, even though it was a Chicago station, it got, it was on, like, around the country on cable systems. And
yeah, so pretty much the only variety of choice in the UK that would be better than the United States would be the actual balance in the newspapers, when he actually had an even number of, like, left-wing, in fact, maybe had more right-of-centre newspapers than left-of-centre ones. Whereas in the United States, it seems to be all slanted left in the newspapers.
Well, I think there was more balance when the bigger cities had multiple papers.
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
Over time, one would go out of business or get folded into the other. In my neck of the woods, the Houston had both the Chronicle and the Post, and Dallas had both the Morning News and the Times Herald and examples like that. So usually one was probably a little bit more in one direction or the other than the other one. Don't know all my newspaper history though to be able to. I didn't do analysis of such things.
The north direction.
What about the north direction?
The Chronicle is more of a north direction.
So, for instance, if Hillary Clinton was a British, if Hillary Clinton were a British politician, the newspapers would be all over her with the Clinton Foundation.
Honestly, with the media, the thing is, the media is not really that supportive of Hillary Clinton. That's the amazing thing, is that basically the media is just being like, well, we know she's going to win just because Trump's not going to win, so she's going to win by default. So we don't really have to spend much time trying to make her look good. We just have to be like, yeah, she sucks. We don't care. She's going to win anyway.
Yeah, but they give her a big help by not covering all of her scandals and all of that stuff.
Yeah, they don't do that. They do it somewhat. I mean, they come up with random stuff. Like yesterday, there was this story about Dr. Drew says he thinks she's not getting adequate medical care. Like, Dr. Drew, what the hell is that quack's opinion? Why does anyone care what he says about anything? I've never understood why that guy is some celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. He was the professional one from the Love Line. Yeah. That's the guy I want to ask about the health of presidential candidates. No, I don't think so.
Right, so now, folks, we have now...
Go back to celebrity rehab.
We will have to talk about this after the review. It's a fantastic conversation. No. We'll talk about it after the review.
But, I didn't really have much else to say about that. I mean, if Servalan wasn't in it, I'd give it a 7, but automatic deduction point takes it down to Well, I'll be generous. I'll give it a 6.5. That's how
Right.
good
So, how many more episodes? Which episodes go above this? The Villa one and the Provine one.
I didn't memorize all the grades I gave, but I know there's probably at least a couple episodes I gave a 7 to. There was a 7.5. There was an 8. So at least 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's quite good.
There might even be another one I gave a 6.5 to. I don't remember now. I have to go back and what I figured I'd do once we're done with Blake 7. We could do.
Yeah, go through your scores.
Season 4 review, and then we could do like one more kind of overview of the whole entire series wrap-up video where I could that, because in the meantime, I would. Actually, I know you told me there's some interviews and things like that, so I could look up some stuff and have some other information. Maybe you'll have some screenshots we can put up, things like that,
Oh, and there's a wonderful documentary series by Kevin Davies that he didn't do season 4, which might be a good thing in your point of view, but he did do the first 3, and it's a very good documentary.
So I mean, in between doing the season 4 review and that last one, you can read and watch some stuff, and one of the things I'll do is I'll actually compile what our scores were and come up with like averages.
Oh, excellent! Like so you'll be watching like the ends of the reviews to try and work out what the scores were.
Right.
Excellent.
So what do you give this one?
I'll give it about an 8, I reckon, because of Stratford Johns. That he certainly gets a point. That little snigger might get a point on its own.
Well, yeah, I said it's the best laugh they've had on the series so far, like hands down. I mean, they're like, that's the one thing is like I like Avon. I mean, we discussed Avon smiling too much. I don't mind him doing like the occasional smug smile, but he's actually a little bit better when he's colder guy. Yeah. And this one he was a little sort of a mix of both, because he sort of had the I'm going to be like the cold calculating dude, but then he was smiling a little bit too much. Yeah, a little too self-satisfied. But yeah, his laughs have usually been dumb though. Yeah. Because they've been like he does the sitcomish laugh to end the episode thing. Which,
it's almost like it's the real personality, and you'll see that in it's more him as the actor that comes through. It's a little bit.
But with what's his face, Belkov.
Belkov.
Like, it was like the combination of was great, but also it fit in the situation. It didn't seem like a contrived thing where the character wouldn't have laughed. So both times he did laugh, it fit the character. So.
Yeah, it's like he had that little snigger because he knew it was like getting something over someone.
Right.
And he could help it, could hold it in. So maybe Belkov's a bit of an SP, we don't know. Or maybe an NT. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of straddling the line. There might be an ENTP though.
Yep.
I mean, Kersey calls that the inventor type, and that's sort of what makes sense for him.
Yeah. Right then. So it's goodbye from me, folks.
Bye-bye. Join us next time for sand all over your computer.
And Morgan may use the word trash to describe the next episode. 10 times at least.
The question is, how many times?
Yes. My bid is 10 plus. My bid is 10.
All right, we'll see. We're setting the over-under at 10.
Yeah, right.